Okay, everybody, welcome to today's edition of NDD. Glad to be back with you. Spent the last couple days breaking down perhaps some of the things you may not have known about both CJ Carr and Kenny Minchey. Tight race. I do think we expected that. You probably had figured out that, for me, more comfortable moving forward with Kenny Minchey, just based on the fact that, yeah, they're both extremely talented and more than capable. And let's make that clear. CJ Carr and Kenny Minchey, both capable of leading the Irish offense and moving the football down the field. To me, I like the extended time Kenny Minchey has in Mike Denbrock's offense. I don't think that's something that can be undersold. And that was basically the basis of the past 2 days when I did those impact player previews. And I've enjoyed some of the commentary in the YouTube chat rooms as we continue to get closer and closer now, 17 some days away from the opener, August 31st, in Coral Gables against the Miami Hurricanes. But I do want to start today with some recruiting news. As Marcus Freeman and the Irish, we know they're looking to follow what was a superb 26 recruiting haul with another loaded group in 2027. You already have four-star linebacker Ellis McGaskin, four-star QB Teddy Gerard, and the top long snapper in the country, Sean Kraft, already committed. Now they have their sights set on another stud in the group, and that is edge rusher Chris Whitehead, 6'5", 210-pound five-star from Lloyd Seabird High in Chesterfield, Virginia. He's a top 30 player nationally and one of the top 5 edge rushers in the entire class, and he's going to visit Notre Dame this fall. Already in possession of an offer from Marcus Freeman's bunch. Whitehead's a kid who's registered over 25 tackles, 13 for loss, and 11 sacks a season ago during his sophomore campaign. He's actually going to take in the Notre Dame USC game in mid-October in South Bend, which is always a draw. And with Whitehead being one of the best players in his class, we know, this comes with the territory, that competition for his services is steep. So in addition to the offer that he has on the table from Notre Dame, he's got one from the likes of Georgia, Virginia Tech in his home state, Miami, Texas A&M, Notre Dame's first 2 opponents of this season, Penn State, Ohio State, Alabama, Michigan, Tennessee, and a handful of others. One of the best players in the class. You're going to get just a bevy of offers coming your way, and it's already started for the soon-to-be junior. Now, the landing of Whitehead, if the Irish are able to do it, would give them an unreal complement to the pair of edges they signed in this past class. Those, of course, being 5-star Rodney Dunham and 4-star Ebenezer Iwatati. So Notre Dame looking to get big, looking to get fast, looking to get athletic even more so up front. They did it in 25, did it again in 26, and they're starting to do that. And you look at somebody like an Ellis McGaskin, probably features more as a linebacker, but more than capable of also putting his hand on the ground moving forward as well. So Notre Dame off to a good start here with what they've got commitment-wise and what they've thrown out there from an offer perspective. And it's going to be a fun one to track because I think there's a lot of momentum that's starting to build here. And you get them on campus for a marquee game against perhaps your biggest rival. It's a big deal. So we'll see how this continues to fold and what transpires after that October 18th. I think it's the 18th, October 18th date with USC this season. Today's player spotlight, we're going to go group here, all right? And it's the Irish backfield, and we're not reinventing the wheel with this, all right? I know those of you who watch the show, the passionate men and women, know what Notre Dame has back there, right? So it goes without saying that it's the best running back room in the country. I don't believe that to be opinion. Okay, and I'm not just saying that as someone who's been a Notre Dame fan since February 22nd, 1986. You got the group that's led by Heisman candidate and pre-seed All-American Jeremiah Love. It's a room that has an abundance of talent that creates nightmares for the opposition literally on every play. And you got the 1-2 punch of Love and Shadarian Price, who in my opinion should also be widely considered All-American worthy. He certainly would be if he was the feature back at any other program in the country. Aeneas Williams probably would in that right as well. That's the punch that paved the way for the group last season, where Notre Dame was top 5 among Power 4 teams in yards per carry at over 5.5, and number 7 nationally in that same category. You also had a rushing group led by Love and Price that were 6th amongst Power 4 teams in rushing offense at over 210 yards per game, which is a wild stat. Now, last season, you add in the support of freshman Aeneas Williams. That trio was lethal for a Notre Dame squad that finished 14-2 and was a few breaks away from nearly pulling off what would have been an unbelievably legendary comeback in the national title game. So you know what you had there last year, 1, 2, and 3 in that running back room. For this season, you've got 4 legitimate, maybe 5, depending how you look at it, options in that backfield. It's going to be Love and Price 1-2 once again, with the now sophomore Williams expected to take on an even more substantial role. And what excites me there for Aeneas Williams is his increase in the passing game, where he showed incredible flashes last season. Now, with the return of Jabron Payne, who was a third down rock 2 seasons ago, there's no reason to think this Irish running back room can't dominate and won't dominate once again, regardless of who the QB1 is. And regardless of how much talent exists on the outside, Notre Dame's going to rely on its run game to rack up yardage, move the chains, and put points on the board. You can be gifted in all areas of the offense, and the Irish certainly are. But the engine of that offense is going to be the run game. Now, the loss of Kedron Young for the season certainly stings. But it does create an opportunity for true freshman and New Jersey native Nolan James Jr. to see additional work. It's increased practice time. That's going to be beneficial for the former DePaul Catholic star, who also, by the way, really excelled in spring camp. Talked a little bit about Nolan a few episodes back in the player profile of freshman previews. He brings in a powerful punch here. Former teammate in high school at DePaul, Elijah Burris. We expect big things from him, to be very active on the outside as a freshman wide receiver. Now there's opportunity here for James to move up a spot on the depth chart and get that increased practice time. Build on what you did in spring camp. Kid's got good burst, speed, and elusiveness, traits that are certainly going to continue to stand out to running back coach Juwan Sider, as they have to the Irish coaching staff as a whole, and they've spoken about that in weeks prior. Think about it. We know CJ Carr and Kenny Minchey are both more than capable of leading this offense. I've said that a couple times now, including at the top of this broadcast and in previous episodes. We know the wide receiving core of Greathouse, Faison, Fields, and Pauling, coupled with the support of guys like Cam Williams, Elijah Burris, throw Micah Gilbert in there. Hopefully the progression of KK Smith continues. You got guys that can stretch the field and create more matchup nightmares. And we know how talented tight end Eli Raridan and obviously the offensive line are. Now, take the 1-2 punch of Love Price and support it with Williams, Payne, James. And you have an offense that is more beyond capable of supporting what is most likely going to be one of the top defenses in the country. Folks, teams simply don't have this depth up front and in the backfield. And the Irish are going to lean on it as much as possible. You have legitimate talent that can carry the load when you're 1-2. Love and Price need a blow. And that's big. Okay, we saw that a couple years ago. Third down, Jabron Payne would come in, do his thing, move the chains, pound it in the end zone. That was big. And we saw that last year. For as good as J-Love was, Jadarian Price was perhaps just as good, just as dangerous in spots. And Aeneas Williams came in there really in the playoff where you saw him as that dual back where he could carry the rock and then go out in the pass game and be impactful. Kedron Young had flashes as well. Of course, we won't see him this year with the season-ending injury a week ago in camp. But now, perhaps more from freshman Nolan James, who Notre Dame went out on the recruiting trail and got him here, brought him here for a reason as part of the future. Okay, so you still have the depth in that room that is very exciting. And on a team that has an abundance of talent and depth all over the roster, this group, to me, is the most exciting to follow because you know, for as much as Notre Dame wants the quarterback to be able to push the ball down the field, because they really haven't had it consistently since Jimmy Clausen. I think most, if not all, would agree with that. That's no slight to the Ian Books or the Brandon Wimbushes of the world, Malik Zaire, Everett Golson, Tommy Reese, whoever it might be. But you haven't had that consistently since Clausen. I think Carr and Minchey give you the opportunity to do that once again, but to have this backfield as both runners and pass catchers. And don't forget, seeing a lot more of those two-back sets, that 21 personnel with two backs and a tight end on the field at the same time. It gives you options. It gives you creativity, flexibility in Mike Denbrock's playbook. And I think Notre Dame is even more exciting and even more dangerous and lethal because those options exist and because you have head coach and coordinators and specialist coaches willing to take those chances and lean on the talent and try things differently. I think about it special teams-wise. Marcus Freeman never afraid to go for it on fourth down when it makes sense. But when you want to flip the field, you do that too. Now, looking at your offensive playbook and changing things up and saying, hey, you know what? Instead of just having J Love on the field, why don't we get him and Price or him and Williams or Price and Williams on the field together? Let's see what here we have maybe with Nolan James if we decide to use him in a given package or two. And then what are we going to do with Jabron Payne? Because we know we trust him. We know he looks good since he's come back from injury. These are all great things to have. Now, for Juwan Sider, how do I get 4 or 5 guys involved? He'll figure it out. When you have talent like this, you cannot have too much of it. And that's what Notre Dame's got in the backfield. And Juwan Sider knows how to coach this room, did a damn good job at Penn State. Notre Dame is lucky to have him, to be able to go out and bring him in off that great run that he enjoyed with Penn State. Now looking to do the same thing in South Bend. You've got the running back room. You certainly got the running back coach to do it. And I think you've got, if not the best, one of the best head coaches in America, now going into his 4th season in Marcus Freeman. So this is going to be a damn fun group to watch, and Notre Dame will go as far as this running back room, led by Jay Love and Jay Price, will take it. And let's wrap today. Some more individual news for another Irish player, this time offensive lineman Billy Schrouth, lining up once again this season as a starting left guard on what very well could be the nation's best offensive line. Schrouth named to the 2025 Lombardi Award watch list this week. The award honors the nation's most outstanding lineman or linebacker for performance on the field, so you're going on either side of the ball there, as well as displaying leadership, courage, and discipline in the game of football. The Irish had the nation's 3rd best scoring backfield a season ago, and Schrouth, who started 12 of Notre Dame's 16 games, was a huge reason why. And for this award, so it's a big-time tip of the cap to Billy, but Notre Dame's had 5 winners of the Lombardi Award in the past. Manti Te'o was the most recent recipient of the award, winning it in 2012. Defensive end Walt Patuski and Ross Browner, 1971 and 77 respectively. Chris Zorich picked it up in 90, and Aaron Taylor on the offensive line won it in 1993. They were the other 4 winners. Former Notre Dame left tackle Joe Alt, as a matter of fact, was a finalist for the award in 2023. Looking ahead, going to start taking a look at some of the premier defensive players, and I think guys that maybe might fly a little bit more under the radar than they should going into this upcoming season, and I will start that tomorrow with the focus being, I think, a budding and blossoming fan favorite in Bryce Young. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you all tomorrow, and as always, go Irish.